Exodus 2:11-22, Moses' flight to Midian. One day, when Moses had grown up, he went out to his people and looked on their burdens. And he saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew, one of his people. He looked this way and that, and seeing no one, he killed the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. When he went out the next day, behold, two Hebrews were struggling together, and he said to the man that did the wrong, "Why do you strike your fellow?" He answered, "Who made you a prince and a judge over us? Do you mean to kill me as you killed the Egyptian?" Then Moses was afraid and thought, "Surely the thing is known." When Pharaoh heard of it, he sought to kill Moses. But Moses fled from Pharaoh and stayed in the land of Midian. Overview. Moses is the subject of great praise. One writer reports that Moses invented the art of writing and that the Phoenicians learned it from the Hebrews, Clement of Alexandria. Even before God revealed himself to him, Moses avoided sin, executed justice, and for 40 years contemplated the mysteries of creation, Basil. It was more important for Moses to slay wickedness and love of luxury in himself, Ambrose. Moses' slaying the Egyptian raises a serious moral question, Augustine. In answer to the Hebrews' question, it was knowledge that made Moses a ruler over his people. In all his actions, Moses was motivated by faith, Chrysostom. Moses fled to escape defilement. Moses became a prophet and was enabled to deliver his people from affliction, Ambrose. 2:12, Moses killed the Egyptian. Praise of Moses' wisdom, Clement of Alexandria. Eupolemus, in his work On the Kings of Judea, says that Moses was the first sage and the first person to transmit to the Jews the science of writing, which passed from the Jews to the Phoenicians and from the Phoenicians to the Greeks. When he reached the age of manhood, he developed his practical wisdom, being zealous for his national ancestral educational traditions, to the point of striking down and killing an Egyptian who was unjustly attacking a Hebrew. The mystics say that he eliminated the Egyptians simply by speaking, as later in Acts, Peter is said to have killed by his words those who had kept for themselves part of the price of the land and had told lies. Moses' character, Basil the Great. He who hated the pomp of royalty returned to the lowly state of his own race. He preferred to suffer affliction with the people of God rather than to have the fleeting enjoyment of sin. He who, possessing naturally a love for justice, on one occasion, even before the government of the people was entrusted to him, was seen inflicting on the wicked punishment to the extent of death because of his natural hatred of villainy. He was banished by those to whom he had been a benefactor. He gladly left the uproar of the Egyptians and went to Ethiopia, and spending there all his time apart from others, devoted himself for 40 entire years to the contemplation of creation. Moses purified, Ambrose. Moses slew an Egyptian and became a fugitive from the land of Egypt so as to avoid the king of that land. But he would not have slain the Egyptian if he had not first destroyed in himself the Egypt of spiritual wickedness and had not relinquished the luxuries and honors of the king's palace. Was Moses' deed praiseworthy, Augustine? Concerning Moses' deed, when he killed the Egyptian to defend his brethren, we have treated the point adequately in the book that we wrote against Faustus on the lives of the patriarchs. The question was whether his role in that deed was praiseworthy, insofar as he admitted his sin, just as the richness of the earth, even before useful seeds are planted, is often praised for a growth of plants, even if they are useless. Or perhaps the deed itself should be justified, but to do so does not seem right, for up to that point Moses had no legitimate authority, neither authority that he received from God, nor authority ordained by human society. But still, as Stephen says in the Acts of the Apostles, Moses thought that his brethren understood that God would bring them salvation through him, so that, by this testimony, it appeared that Moses could dare to do this because he was already called by God to act. But Scripture is silent on this point. 2:14, Who made you a ruler? Knowledge gave Moses the right to rule, Chrysostom. Wherefore also very foolishly did that Hebrew say to him, Who made you a ruler and a judge over us? What do you say? You see the actions and doubt of the title. Just as if one seeing a physician using the knife excellently well and succoring that limb in the body which was diseased should say, Who made you a physician and ordered you to use a knife? It is my art, my good sir, and your own ailment. So too did his knowledge make him, i.e., Moses, what he claimed to be, for ruling is an art, not merely a dignity, and an art above all arts. Moses' fear enabled him to escape Chrysostom. By faith he forsook Egypt, not fearing the wrath of the king, for he endured as seeing him who is invisible. What do you say? That he did not fear, and yet the scripture says that when he heard he was afraid, and for this cause provided for safety by flight, and stole away and secretly withdrew himself. And afterwards he was exceedingly afraid. Observe the expressions with care. He said, not fearing the wrath of the king, with reference to his presenting himself again. For it would have been the part of one who was afraid not to undertake again to defend his championship or to have any hand in the matter. That he did, however, again undertake it was the part of one who committed all to God. For he did not say, he is seeking me and is busy in the search, and I cannot bear again to engage in this matter. So even his flight was an act of faith. Why then did he not remain, you say? That he might not cast himself into a foreseen danger. For this finally would have been tempting God, to leap into the midst of dangers and say, let us see whether God will save me. And this the devil said to Christ, cast yourself down. Do you see that it is a diabolical thing to throw ourselves into danger without cause and for no purpose, and to make trial of God whether he will save us? 2:15 Moses fled from Pharaoh. Flight to avoid defilement. Ambrose. Thus did Moses flee from the face of Pharaoh, so that the royal palace would not defile him, or royal power ensnare him. Indeed, he valued reproach for Christ as more precious than the riches of Egypt. A prophet to liberate his people. Ambrose. Moses went out from Egypt and was made a prophet and sent back to the people that he might free their souls from the land of affliction.